Hey everybody, Jeff King here, coming to you with another Initial Impressions video. This time we're looking at Elements from Rampage Games. Elements is a 2 to 4 player game, plays roughly about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit less, depending on the flow of the game. And basically you're trying to use your primary elements, secondary elements, and special elements to build substances. So, which you get with this game is a pretty hefty deck of elements that includes things like fire, water, earth, air, metal, oil, power. I'm sure I'm missing something. But, you know, basically that's so you get your 4 primary, fire, water, earth, and air, and then the power and metal and oil and stuff like that are your secondary, and then you get what's called meta, which is basically kind of like a wild. It's a special kind of element. And then you have a smaller deck of substances, and these all have various things on them, number of points, maybe some bonus gems you might get if you complete it naturally, and then what it takes to complete. So for instance, the one I just kind of showed, this guy right here, is worth 2 points. It's a candle. It's worth 2 points. If you complete it naturally, you get a fire gem, and what you need for it is fire, air, oil, and earth. So I say complete it naturally. What I mean by that is basically if you use primary and secondary elements and you don't use any meta gems, basically. Gems are cards, because there's meta cards as well. If you do it without using the metas, then you get a bonus gem from the center of the table, in this case fire. So what happens is when you complete these, you get a gem for just completing it. And then if there's a bonus on it, because not all of them have bonuses, you'll also get that bonus gem if you do it naturally. Basically in Elements, you are the first player that gets 10 points built out of these substances wins. In a full game, in the case, basically if you end up going through this deck and nobody ends up with 10 points for some reason, then it's whoever has the most points wins. Again, really simple little game. Basically what you're going to do on your turn is you'll draw a card from the element deck. And so you'll have cards in you'll start with some cards. You'll draw a card from the element deck. You'll roll 2 6-sided dice. And then there's a nice little reference sheet on the back of the rule book that tells you what you do depending on the dice roll. So you're going to roll 2 d6s, and then you have your choice between the 2 options that you roll. So you'll do things like draw again from the deck, draw from the discard pile, trade gems, trade cards with other players, stuff like that. And then if you happen to roll doubles, what you'll do is whatever that action is, plus you get to steal a gem from another player. So you'll draw your card, roll your dice, determine your outcome, and then you'll start building on your substance. Now, if it's the first time you've started to build on a substance, if it has a primary element in it, so again, fire, water, air, earth, if it has one of those and nothing's on this yet, you have to start with one of those. So, for instance, we're doing a tree here. Tree needs earth, water, and air. So if you have an earth, a water, or an air, you can start with one of those, either in gem form or in card form. But that's all you can play that round. So once you have a primary element on it, when it comes back around to your turn, if you have everything else you need, you can go ahead and complete that. If for some reason, either somebody takes your primary element that's on here, or let's say you started doing like this. So this has a wood secondary. So let's say you had earth and wood on here. If somebody takes your wood or earth, if somebody takes your earth, then the next time it comes around to you, even though you still have the wood on it, you have to play another primary element first and only that before you can continue to kind of move on. So that's one thing to be on the lookout for. There are at least a few, I think, substances that don't have any primary elements. If you get one of those and you have everything in your hand to complete it, you can just complete it right away. So again, you keep kind of doing that until you get to a point where somebody gets 10 points. The only other thing that you got to worry about is you can discard, or you will discard at the end of your turn. So the max number of cards you can have is 5. If you're over that, you have to discard down, put it in the discard pile. Again, remember there's a dice outcome that comes up that allows people to take from the discard pile. So you got to be somewhat careful sometimes about what you're throwing in the discard pile. But if you're over 5, you have to. If you're under 3, you get to draw up to 3. The only other thing that there is, you can spend one of your gems that you have in play in front of you. You can spend one to discard your entire hand and draw back up. But you do that, I believe, at the end of your turn as well. So end of your turn, you can go, I don't want any of these cards. Spend that, discard everything, draw back up. And that's pretty much what you do. Again, you draw a card, you roll the dice, you determine which of the die outcomes you're going to use, and then you do that, and you start building on your substance, and then you draw up or discard down between 3 to 5 cards. And again, you continue to do that until somebody hits 10 points. So the game you're seeing behind me was Megan and I playing this one. And by the time we got done, Megan really enjoyed this one. So that was cool to see. It's very casual, it's very light, so that's good. The rolling of the dice, again, that's a familiar thing. I like the fact that you get the option of which one to do, so that's nice. I mean, you got the randomness of the dice, but you get to mitigate it at least a little bit because you at least get to choose an option. Now, the one thing I didn't mention is if you roll the 2 dice and you can't do anything with either of them, you basically pick one and continue to roll until something comes up that you can do. You have to perform some kind of dice outcome on your turn. So again, this is a fast, quick game that it has a very familiar feel. It's got, the gem pieces that are really nice. The substances are laid out really decent. You got the element cards. So it's primarily a card and dice game, again, which is nice for casual players because it's a familiar feel. So this, again, because of time, because of what's involved in the actual play, this is a very nice filler game that you can get in real quick. You can play through. Casual gamers can sit down and play this and actually enjoy it. There's not a lot for them to have to absorb. You're not really introducing them to too many things that is going to get too complex. So because of that, again, this is something that I know Megan really enjoyed. She had a lot of fun playing, and something that we would definitely play again. So there you go. That is my initial impressions of Elements. Again, this is going to be on Kickstarter sometime mid-March. So be on the lookout for that. And if you, again, check it out. Check out any other reviews and stuff they might have, gameplay videos, all that good stuff. See if it's something that you like. I don't know if we really kind of showed off, but they got the nice, gem pieces. You'll see them when we're kind of playing behind us. So plenty of gems and all that good stuff. So again, this is a review copy. So check out the Kickstarter page to see what may or may not change. But I got to say, we really enjoyed this one. Megan and I sat down and played it. We had a lot of fun with it. This is something that we can play again and again. And so with that, if you're looking for a filler style game that you can play with casual players, that you can have some fun with your medium to, I'm not sure about hardcore players. I'm not sure about people that only want to play Euros and stuff like that. It's hard to tell. Again, you got the randomness of the die. The randomness of the dice, even though it's mitigated a little bit, you're still relying on whatever comes up on the dice. So hardcore Euro style player is probably not going to be huge into this. But if you got your casual to mid gamers, this is a good game. This is a great game to break out. Again, like I said, as a filler, you're waiting for people to show up. It's a good game to break out between games. This isn't one of those games that I would only pull out if, all right, well, we're waiting for people. Or it's the end of the night or something like this. I would break this out between games and play this. This is a very solid game. It's really well put together. So again, check out the Kickstarter when it comes out, mid-March sometime. And check everything out. If this sounds like something that's interesting to you, definitely back it. All right? Thanks a lot, guys. I'll be back again with more videos in the very near future.